Well, hello, everybody. Welcome in to a very special AMA Ask Me Anything session here for February 2025. Going to give some time for everyone to file in here, and then we are going to dive right into some questions. So jump in the chat if you would. Want to make sure everything is live and good. Good to see everybody here. All right. So yeah, jump in the chat. And let's start out with, especially if you are a first-time live streamer here for one of these AMA sessions, I'd love to find out where you are in the world. So let us know in the chat. Jump in, and if you would, share where you are in the world. Where are you joining us from? If this is your first time, we always have a really good time on these live streams. So everybody is a friend here. We have a great time. And I am happy to answer some questions. We will take care of a couple of housekeeping items. I got some announcements and things to mention up front, and then we'll dive into some questions. First question from Veteran Vibes Web Design. So we'll jump into that. You'll be first up here. VVWD. Awesome. All right, guys. Cool. Well, welcome in. Sun Valley from New Hampshire. Awesome, guys. If you just joined us, jump in the chat. Let me and everyone else know where you're joining us from. Hey, Sam. Good to see Sam from Then Can Designs, Bend, Oregon. Awesome. We'll give it a couple minutes here, and we'll jump into some questions. First off, a couple announcements. I wanted to just say thank you for everyone who follows me. If you're connected with me on social media, I'm currently on Instagram and Facebook. A big thanks to everyone for sending so much support for my daughter. My daughter had a surgery this past weekend to get a G-tube placed, which for those who don't know, it's just a little device that it's like a little button that just is surgically in her belly there that just helps us feed her. We've struggled with weight gain and feeds for, well, her whole life, up for these almost 7 years. So we finally had to go the G-tube route. So it was a long time coming, but she's doing great, recovering well, and we're getting used to the new life as G-tube parents and managing that. But she's doing awesome, and she's getting used to it. So thank you guys for the support on that. A couple of things I wanted to mention real quick on the business front. I had teased about this a couple weeks ago, but I recently interviewed Chris Doe, and his interview is going to be out next week on the podcast. So a lot of you know him as kind of the GOAT when it comes to pricing, value-based pricing for both designers and web designers. And the interview I did with him recently exceeded my expectations. So I'm really excited to share it with you next week. That will be on the Web Design Business Podcast at 7 a.m. on Monday. So keep a lookout for that. Good to see you, Michael. Welcome in the house. Justin's in the house. Great to see you guys. If you just joined us, hop on in the chat and share where you are joining us from. Thank you. Sun Valley says, glad to hear your daughter's doing well. Thank you. Pandora, great to see you. Awesome, guys. Appreciate that, Sun Valley. Do appreciate that. All right, guys. Awesome. Let me make sure this is working. Okay, cool. All right, guys. And the last thing I wanted to mention too, real quick, we'll get into this, but I did make a public announcement that audio podcasts or audio versions of a few of my courses are available now. So if you didn't know, when you join Web Designer Pro, which is my community that has all my courses, community and coaching options, there are 3 courses that you'll get access to just like this. You can get access to my maintenance plan course, which is what you see here, the audio for all the lessons, 24/7 immediate access. So you get the courses at any level in Web Designer Pro, the full courses with the videos, the downloads, the text and everything. But if you're on the go, if you're doing dishes or mowing the lawn and you're like, man, I would love to listen to that lesson that I just went through last week, but I forgot a couple things. Boom. This is the scaling course that's available on audio. Again, as a member of any tier, you get complete 24/7 access. This is the business course, ready to go. So just another reason to jump on into Web Designer Pro, guys. And if you want to just get your feet wet, I would jump into the courses tier. It's only $49 a month right now. That gives you access to every single one of my courses, the audio podcasts, a roadmap that I have for you, some additional resources. And you get the private pro podcast feed, which is the audio for all of our coaching calls. So I hope to see you in there. Any questions, let me know. Good to see Michelle here. Welcome in. I think I need to adjust the color on these questions real quick for you guys. Hold on one sec. I think I can do this on my end via Ecamm Live, which is what I'm using. Hold on one sec. Let me see if I can adjust this for you guys here. Edit background. There we go. Does that look better for you guys? I just did an update on Hello Audio. Hello Audio is what I use for this podcast. I did an update on Ecamm Live and want to make sure that's working. Brian from San Antonio. Good to see you, Brian. Good to see. Sam says audio lessons are clutch for driving in cars. Sweet. Ooh, I like this update. Thank you, Ecamm Live, for this pretty cool update on this thing. All right. That looks better on my end, so I hope that looks good from you. My wonderful VA, Jen, is in the house. Good to see you, Jen. Welcome in. Welcome in. If you guys are loving the Web Design Business Podcast, big thanks to Jen because she makes it happen as far as distributing it and doing a lot of the grunt work and the back end work. Awesome. Thank you, Sun Valley. Appreciate that. All right, we're going to dive into some questions here for you guys. So, Veteran Vibes web design. 3 months into web design, net 22K. Hey, all right. For your first 3 months, I made, I think, $12,000 my first year. So you've already 2x'd what I did my first year. So way to go. Way to go, Veteran Vibes. But swamped, struggling to find the next few months clients while drowning in work, thinking of outsourcing. Any tips on finding the right 1099s and maintain quality? Absolutely. So I think Justin with WebLogic had mentioned that I do have a course on scaling. So if you decide to join Web Designer Pro, you can get access to the scaling course. In the meantime, and as a freebie, I do have a free scaling masterclass. So let me drop the link to that in the chat here for you. It's at joshhall.co/scale, which is where I currently have some freebies here. So actually, let me share my screen. I'll just show you what you'll learn. I would dive into this first, and that'll be a good teaser because these are the tips I share in this masterclass are pulled from the course. So you'll learn a little bit about how I recommend scaling, like how you start small with it, and a few places to go. So check that out. Go to joshhall.co/scale. It's a free training on scaling your web design business your way. And then the next best step will be to join Web Designer Pro. You can get access to the whole scaling course and all of my courses because you'll find out when you start to scale, you're going to want to dip into a few other courses likely because there's a lot of things to fill, especially when it comes to changing and closing some gaps in your business. That way you're able to maintain the amount of work that you have there. So, but way to go. That's awesome to hear. I'm pumped to hear that you're so busy so fast in your business. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, some other questions here. Justin said, probably covered in Josh's past podcast too. Yeah, there are quite a few podcasts, the Rain Man of podcast episode numbers. Well, Justin, that's becoming harder and harder for me just because we have so many episodes now. I remember some like big episodes, but I'm starting to forget little episodes. But if you go to joshhall.co, actually, if you guys didn't know, we do have podcast playlists. So let me show you this real quick. For example, let's say you want to learn about scaling and you can go to podcast playlists and I have a playlist for scaling. So all episodes that are about scaling are right here for you. Again, thanks to Jen, who helped me put this together and does all the grunt work and tagging this and automating this. So yeah, that's a great place to start as well. And then, of course, there's the free training that you can jump into and then join the full course when you join Web Designer Pro. All right. So, Michael, Donegal in Ireland, is that right? The coolest place on the planet, says National Geographic. Awesome. Yeah, sounds rainy. Sounds rainy there. Rainy and cool. Oh, I already had this one. Thank you again for that. Appreciate it, Sam, on Bria's recovery. Thank you, guys. Pandora's in the house. All right, guys. Let's jump down to some questions here. Jeremy's in the house. Good to see you, Jeremy. All right, all right. Jen said the scaling course is amazing. Thank you, Jen. Hey, Derek. Good to see you in the house. Sam shares, I listened to the course as I was pulling in my first subcontractors, and it was amazing. 4 consistent subs now, and I've grown to 15K MRR thanks to that course. Sam, well, thank you for sharing that, man. Yeah, If you guys don't know Sam, he is the founder of Local SEO Academy, which is kind of a bit of a sister community to Web Designer Pro for those who want to go deeper into local SEO. And one thing I love about what Sam is doing right now is he's in the thick of growing his SEO business, but also sharing everything he's learning every step of the way. So Sam, dude, congrats. Look, we can't not give Sam a round of applause. 15K, just what, a year and a half into your business now, Sam? Not even closing on 2 years yet. So incredible work, man. Common issue. Oh, and let me, by the way, let me just give you a couple tips, Veteran Vibes, because I gave you a bunch of resources, but I will give a couple quick tips on finding the right people to maintain quality. The biggest thing about maintaining quality is it does start with you, meaning you can't just send somebody into your processes and expect them to kick out really good work that is what you would design if you don't guide them. So I know you probably don't have a huge pool of work up to this point with like past examples of sites, but even if you have 2 or 3 designs that you've recently done, those can be what you share with your team to model after this. You can even say, or you can take one of your sites and make a basic template out of it that is like, this is how we do our buttons. This is how we do our general styling. If you go through my process course, that's your SOP for kicking out the sites. My design course will share some of the top design best practices that can help you out. All of those things can be your processes, but either way, you want to make sure you have something in place to where you guide somebody to like mimic some of your site designs. That's actually how I would start with the idea of like quality, making sure you don't drop in quality, is to say, design something that's almost exactly like this. And as long as they can rip off one of your designs, that's going to be a good foundation for them to build on. One of the best tips for scaling is to have somebody rip off one of your designs. And then, because I've done that even when I look at sites that I'm like, I want to do something like this. I'll just rip it off. And then not, absolutely completely word for word, but just structure, page flow, padding, design styles, maybe even fonts, just to like mimic a really good design. That's how you become a good designer, by the way, often. Unless you're just born with a wonderful eye for design, most of us look at designs we like, and then we kind of rip them off and make it our own. Same with your subcontractors with the idea of getting the quality there. Justin said, a common issue is that when swamp people can take their foot off the gas when promoting their business. Yeah, can you discuss finding balance between client work and working on your business? Yes, so I just did a podcast recently with James Barnard, who has a huge social media following, when we talked about this 50-50 principle, which is where no matter how busy you are, it's always going to fluctuate, but the goal is to work 50% on your business. That includes marketing. So it may include hiring, it may include processes, it may include marketing your business, whatever marketing channels you're doing, whether it's referral groups in person, whether it is content marketing, whether you're active on social media, whether you're DMing people on LinkedIn, whether you're building referral partners locally, whatever that looks like for you, 50-50. The rest of the time is actual client work. And if you put yourself in a constrained box with doing client work, you'll actually be very shocked at how much you can get done if you only give yourself a certain amount of time. So I know it's really hard, especially in the case of Veteran Vibes, web design. No, you're swamped right now. The best thing to do is to raise your rates, number one. That way, for new projects that come in, you have a little more buffer. But remember to space and stagger. I wouldn't turn off your sales pipeline, but I would say we can get you going. And then right now, our next start time is mid-March or something. That'll buy you some time to be able to get some cheddar in when you do a proposal and get 50% down. And then you have some time to get some of the other projects out the door or different phases out of the door. So that's what I would do there. But yeah, Justin, when it comes to balancing that, 50-50 is the goal. The reality is when you're completely swamped, there's a few options. Raising your rates for that is number one. Starting to hire some out is number two, which I'd recommend. But that does take some time to get people going, although it can happen pretty quick. Number three is that you just start to build out your pipeline in the way of like scheduling projects out for the next 2 or 3 months. I still don't like the open and close, like I'm booked out model. The reason I don't like that is because I've coached so many web designers who do the like, I'm booked out for the next 3 months. But then guess what happens after 3 months? Their sales pipeline is completely dry. Or if I was a paying client and I wanted to work with somebody, but they said, actually, I'm not taking projects until June. Well, I'm gone. Like, peace. I need to get this going somewhat soon. So that's why I don't love that model. Unless you're just like super high end and you just happen to find businesses who are fine to just start a web design project in 6 months. But I just don't see that working well. I wouldn't do that personally. Yeah. And then sometimes there's a season for hustle, honestly. The big thing is when it comes to being swamped and getting projects done fast, one of the best things you can do is, just like there are needle moving tasks in our businesses, as in like a really good product, a really good offer, the top best marketing strategies. Those are the big 3, by the way, that are like the needle movers in your business. You can do the same thing for projects. So instead of, for example, tinkering around with a CSS new effect or something that, or maybe a new plugin that you might like to do, and the next thing you know, you've just busted like 6 hours playing around with things. As anyone, I know I'm not alone in doing that. Well, what if you just stuck with a more simple approach and just got that project out the door? And yes, you may feel like, I probably could have done more and more on this, but if you focus on the needle moving aspects of projects, which are things like high converting copy, good design page layout, animations, fancy stuff, new tricks and things like that, can go by the wayside. Those are the costly things that are not going to matter that much in the long runs for projects. So long-winded way of saying, do the needle moving stuff immediately and get that project out the door. And then if the client wants something more fancy, maybe that could be added on or tacked on and under the same proposal. But that's the biggie. You got to get that thing done. Jeremy, do you think it's worth getting on RFP lists? For those who don't know, RFP means requests for proposals. If so, what's the best strategy, since you really can't give them a price before sending a proposal? So I don't know. I'm wondering, Jeremy, and this may depend on the area you're in. And not when I say you're, not just you, Jeremy, I mean everybody. Like, it depends on where you are and like what city you're in. Sometimes Chamber of Commerce have lists for like requests for proposals. What I found is generally a request for proposal is going to be a pretty legit client with a pretty big scope of a project. There aren't many small businesses that are looking for a $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 website that's going to do an RFP. Most of those are going to be your more like medium to enterprise level builds that are going to be 15, 20, 30K plus. Not in all cases, but sometimes. Even big nonprofits will sometimes do an RFP. I've done a couple of those for nonprofits in the past. All that to say, I don't know of like a request for proposal directory. If anyone does, let me know. I'll add that to an upcoming piece of content I'm working on for 50 ways to get web design clients. However, that's a tough game to play, and it's very, very time consuming before you get to that point. So now if you land a big old $20,000 project, then cool. That's going to, maybe depending on how much you need to take in those next couple months, that may last you 2 or 3 months. But remember too, it's a lot of work. Like, I would personally rather have like 4 or 5 $5,000 sites that are kind of bread and butter, that are a little more productized, that we can get out the door and get them on hosting and maintenance plans faster. So keep that in mind when it comes to bigger RFP style sites. But yeah, requests for proposals generally come in the way of, like, for me, it was referrals. So I don't know of like an RFP list, Jeremy, but if there is, then I would say you could probably try it, but you are going to be up against some like legitimate agencies likely. So yeah, it just kind of depends. I would try to weigh whether that's worth it for you. It may be worth it for some people, but for you, I don't know. It might, Jeremy. It might. Awesome. Veteran Vibe says, thanks, Josh. Listen to your podcast all throughout my deployment with the military. You helped me decide to jump in full time. Oh, that is amazing. Well, thank you. Veteran Vibes, I want to find out who you are. If you want to email me, go to joshhall.co/contact. And if you would, send me a note. I'd love to connect with you and hear about that. Love supporting our military, too. I've actually had some other military members say they were listening to the show on deployments and stuff. So, like, there may be no better honor. So, as a civilian who has not done military service except for my days of playing a lot of G.I. Joes and military stuff outside, thank you for your service. And I would love to hear from you if you want to hit me up, joshhall.co/contact. I'll give you some tips too as a veteran. I'd love to. This was for the podcast playlist. Thank you, Jen. I got to get caught up on some questions here. I'll try to go a little faster through the next couple questions. Good to see John in the house. Did I do anything for Valentine's Day? So Derek, I don't know if you saw I forget if you're on Facebook or Instagram, but our Valentine's Day was actually spent in Children's Hospital. My daughter had a surgery over the weekend to get a G-tube placed. So, very different Valentine's Day for us this year, but, everything went awesome. We were in and out of the hospital in 32 hours, only one overnight. So compared to some things we've had to go through in the past, one overnight stay at the hospital was it was kind of like, there was a TV. We didn't have to do laundry or dishes. Our other kiddos had grandparent help, and we had food. Like, we were able to order food to the room. It was actually kind of nice, aside from, a huge surgery. Have you worked paid discovery into your course modules? If not, will you be? Great question, Justin, and I appreciate the layup on this. So for those who don't know, in my Community Web Designer Pro, almost every month we bring in a guest expert. And I want to show you this just because it answers the question about paid discovery, because I am going to mention it in the business course more moving forward. But we did a live training this week with Shannon Mattern, good friend of mine and a good friend of ours in Web Designer Pro, about paid discovery. The reason I mention this is, number one, when you join Web Designer Pro, you can get access to the full training, which I would highly recommend. But this links in, it's an option. Here's what I loved about what I learned from Shannon. And actually, I think I'm going to make this available maybe on the podcast or something here soon, just to repurpose this, because it is a good fit as an option alongside what I teach. Now, what I teach in the business course is that you do a free discovery call only for qualified leads. And then if they are qualified, that discovery call will lead you into a proposal. And then once somebody signs on, the next step is a strategy call. What Shannon articulated this and what made me feel better about paid discovery, because there's a lot of different ways you could do it, is what I would normally do as the first phase of a paid project. That's what you can pull out and sell as paid discovery. So when you do a strategy call, consider, if you want to, bringing that piece out and selling it up front for $500 to $1,500. If that sounds like a lot, I would not touch a strategy call for under $500. If $1,500 sounds like a lot, I would just view that as like a digital roadmap, something that is much more than just like, here's some design tips. These are like, here's how your website's going to fit in with your lead funnel. This is how it's going to fit in with your other marketing. It can be like a full-blown digital roadmap that may be a 12-month plan eventually or something like that. So, Justin, to your question, how will this fit in, or where will this fit in? I am actually, that's a good reminder. I need to go into the business course and I'm not going to make it its own module because it is a training in pro, but I am going to mention that if you want, you can experiment with paid discovery before selling a full website. And then for anyone who's curious about this, one thing that both Shannon and I recommend in this is that if you do paid discovery for like $500, for example, or $1,000, even when the client moves forward after that, you credit that off their full build. So let's say you do paid discovery for $500 and then they're like, this plan sounds great. The strategy sounds awesome. And you give them the option. I can do this for you in the full build. That's $5,000, for example, or you can take this strategy session. You can do it as a DIYer, or you can have another agency fulfill this if you want somebody else to fulfill the strategy and plan of action we mapped out for you. That's what you sell, and that's what you credit off the full build. So it's kind of a way to either sell a one-off product that builds some trust, that's low risk, low pressure for the client, but then also moving forward, if they're like, this sounds awesome, Josh, I want to move forward, then awesome. We'll credit the $500 off your $5,000 build. Or a go. Let's rock and roll. So that's kind of how I'm going to mention that, Justin. So I appreciate that. Awesome. Better Vibes going to join pro once he gets the time in March. All right. Pumped to meet you and to see you in pro. And really excited to help you get out of your bind that you're in right now, which is a good problem to have, by the way. If you just joined us, Veteran Vibe mentioned that He's only a few months into the web design business, but is slammed. So yeah, time to get out of that and get some projects out pretty quick. Alexia, welcome in. A web designer pro herself, says lots of pros in the house. Heck yeah, guys. Thanks everyone for joining, whether you're a pro or not a pro yet. Do you have info on marketing with YouTube? I've seen so much more engagement with YouTube than any other social. Hey, Sharon, that's awesome. So I don't personally have any resources for YouTube stuff. I would love to. I would love to do that. It's just the time it takes to create a bunch of new resources and keeping you up to date on top of everything else. However, I don't want to leave you hanging, so I would recommend Pat Flynn's YouTube course. Pat Flynn is if you guys don't know, the founder of Smart Passive Income. He's kind of an OG in the space. He does have like a beginner's course to YouTube. So Sharon, I would recommend that. And I do have a link if you would be interested and be so kind to use my affiliate link. What is the affiliate link? Is it courses? Nope, that's not it. Sometimes I set up these affiliate links and then I forget what I called them. If you go to my recommended tools, it's in the chat if you guys want to check this out at any point. These are all affiliate links, full disclaimer. I do actually here. I'm using advanced custom fields for this, which is pretty cool because you can click on courses. And here we go. Excuse me. Still getting over a cold from last week, by the way. So a couple coughs coming your way. But SPI courses, they have an all access pass that will give you access to the courses. And if we check this out, what I would recommend for you, Sharon, is the YouTube course. There is, what is it? There is a YouTube specific course somewhere around. Hey, YouTube from scratch. So this is what I would recommend for you, Sharon. Again, if you use my link, I am a proud affiliate, and I actually am in these courses as well. So I have yet to go through the YouTube one just because Pat even told me like, you're kind of past the beginner part of YouTube, but I would recommend that, Sharon. Let me give you some tips real quick though, as far as YouTube goes. The big thing about YouTube is, as a web designer, it kind of depends on like who you're serving. As a web designer, I would do YouTube regardless. And I did. For those of you who have been through my business course, you know how I use YouTube as a web designer. It was before joshhall.co. It was before having my bigger YouTube channel, what I'm doing now. It was purely resources for clients. But I put them on YouTube and they actually started gaining some traction. So I'll show this real quick because those of you who have been through my business course, this is going to be old news, but what I did is a client resources page. So here's how I would use YouTube as a web designer to start. I would either make a resources page that has basically like little mini tutorials, and then you can send this to current clients. Now you could make this private just for them, or you could make these videos public if you wanted potential other traffic to see them, get to know you, get to learn and trust you, and then boom, you get clients. So I would do something like that to start, is like a resources page, which are basically just like how-to videos on the tools that you use. The other option is to do it for more like an SEO approach. And I'm glad that Sam is here in the house today, already in with some good advice. Sam says, don't forget you're talking to small business owners, not to other web designers. Another point that Sam eloquently hit the nail on the head here. Have a clear call to action to pull people through. Sam uses a free SEO strategy video. So Sam's example is a really great way to go as well. Let's look at Sam's page real quick. Let's go. Then YouTube. So Sam has a legit YouTube channel here specifically for SEO. And Sam, you tell me, I think this is like your #1 marketing channel now, right? Maybe some in-person networking, but I imagine this is one of your top. So I'll put this in the chat. I would highly recommend everyone go check out Sam's channel. As somebody who, as a web designer pro who really focuses on local SEO, this may be like the case study prime example of how to have a YouTube channel that is specific to bringing you clients. Now, Sam could do more and more for other web designers eventually, but he, like he just said, is very intentional about making this for web design clients. So still a large amount of clients from in-person reviews and stuff, or in-person networking, but this is the biggie. Sam's channel, I meant to, I don't know if I was sharing that before. Yeah, Sam's channel is definitely worthwhile looking at as an additional type of strategy that is for small business clients. So check this out. That's how I would roll with YouTube, Sharon, to start. Is the easiest way would be, as I mentioned, to create kind of like a, let me get back to Sharon's question here real quick. Wow, okay, I got to get caught up on some questions here, guys. The chat is lit. Sorry, Sharon, I'm trying to find your question here. I love an active chat, so this is great. I just need, oh, here we go. Let me expand my window real quick. Here we go. So yeah, I would start with that course just as an intro, the Pat Flynn course, just to get up to speed with how to get going with YouTube. That also touches on thumbnail design, titles, descriptions, etc. But the big thing, like Sam mentioned, and I'll reiterate here, you have to decide, who am I going to serve on YouTube? Do I want to try to get real clients? Then you need to make content that is going to help them. So avoid the like entertainment influencer approach and just be like super helpful. And if you can specialize in an area like Sam has done with local SEO, even better. So for you, Sharon, I don't know, what your area of expertise is or your main skill sets, but focus on that. If there's certain tools you use, tool tutorials can be an incredible way to get clients. I had no idea when I started doing Divi tutorials how many clients I would get from that. I was like, I'm just showing other web designers how to use Divi, but I had so many DIYers, and actually some ended up being pretty good clients, see that. Or some of my clients came from my Divi tutorials because their team members found Divi and were trying to use it, and then ended up the client was like, I've got a team that's using Divi, but they'd really like some expertise, and we wouldn't have you build it, we'll have them take it over. So many ways to do it. Good to see Mark in the house. Another web designer pro. Hey, Samuel. Are you seeing any trends for better out-of-the-gate themes or new content management systems with pre-made websites, more user-friendly than typical theme forest themes? Many plugins and page builders are bad. I mean, bad, like a page builder being bad probably is just the design of the page builder. I mean, any amazing site, you could pretty much build with a page builder. You build it your way with best practices. So I think the big thing with templatized and productized sites is it's not about the tool. It is honestly about the copy, the structure, the design is a big point. And then just good old best practices with basic SEO optimization, speed, accessibility to a certain extent. Those best practices that are behind what we know as web designers, when a client sees a website, we know it's like an iceberg, right? Like the client sees the top of the iceberg, but we know there's a lot going on under there. There's SEO, there's copy, there's speed, there's coding, there's accessibility, there's privacy and other aspects into this as well. There's hosting, there's PHP behind WordPress, there's all these other things that are underneath the water. So those are the things that it really doesn't matter what the tool is in my mind as far as creating a good template style site. It's really just basic best practices. So as far as trends go, you could do a lot with some of the AI builders now. And like I'm a Divi user, like I made starting template sites with Divi that could be changed and swapped out. Text, images, stuff like that. That's kind of based off of a typical model, and those work out fine. Actually, next month in Web Designer Pro, one of our members, Whitney Bateson, is going to be sharing her process because she has a super productized offer using Divi and WordPress. Let me show you this real quick, just because this is a really good example of like how to productize, particularly a Divi site. I'll jump this in the chat. So Whitney's offer is actually, it's more than just a website. You get a website and she teaches her wellness clients how to use this, but it's actually like half marketing and some other stuff as well. But she uses Divi and WordPress, and she has And this is what we'll learn next month for everybody. So Web Designer Pro members who are live with us, we're going to be doing this next month. Whitney is going to be sharing the behind the scenes of how she does this. If you're not yet in Pro, join us. Down below in the description, webdesignerpro.com, you can join the community level, which is where you get access to these live community trainings, like this guest training with Whitney. She's going to be showing us how she actually does this using Divi and WordPress. So same thing, like, she is using a templatized Divi template with different color palettes, different text, typography, slightly different messaging, but you'll see a lot of commonalities between her sites if you look at some of these demos, which we could look real quick. I'd venture to say that these are probably like the 4 main templates that she's probably using. So this is a Divi site, templatized site. This one looks quite different, but there's a lot of similar aspects. Similar aspects again. We saw this right here, so that's the same type of section. The as seen in. Same here. You notice a lot of repeating elements, but you could do a lot when there's different colors, there's different headings, different typography. A similar structure and flow will actually look quite different when you have these different elements. But notice there's a lot of similar things. There's header text, subscription or subtext, call to action, image, etc. Similar style with the layouts here for the newsletter signups. I'm guessing on this one there's probably something similar. Oh, what would you know? So, yeah, good question about the trends as far as that goes, but that's it. You can really take a lot of the same elements, just like Whitney's done and a lot of others who have more productized approach. Clients don't care about that. Clients want a website up that's going to make them money. That's it. Very, very few clients are going to be like, ooh, my newsletter sign up section looks really similar to the newsletter sign up section for your client from like last year. I mean, that's going to be very, very rare. So don't be afraid of templatizing and productizing your sites. So yeah, that was an answer to Samuel's question there. Again, the tool in my mind really doesn't matter. As far as finding better tool, I mean, I don't know, Sam. I don't know. Are you tool difficult? Be honest here. Is nothing going to satisfy you? Because it's 2025. There are no shortage of tools, but it may depend on what you're using. If you don't like what you're using, move on. You could go to Wix Studio. I just talked with an agency owner today who's moving to Wix Studio from WordPress just because they're kind of consolidating everything under one solution and getting away from multiple page builders and stuff. I'm sticking with WordPress and Divi. Divi 5 is like lightning fast. WebDesignerPro.com is using Divi 5. If you guys want to check that out, just check out the website. So excited to move joshhall.co over. So sometimes tools evolve too, and they become better, which is why I say that. All right, let me get caught up on some questions. There's a lot of good comments. I'm not going to pull all of them up just because I want to make sure I find the questions here, but it is good to see Austin in the house. Awesome, guys. Ooh, good book recommendation from Mark. Awesome. All right, let me jump to some other questions here. Samuel, how does Post an Opportunity work in Web Designer Pro? Specifically, how do you manage members hiring and offering services? Yeah, great question. So inside of Pro here, I'll show you, just in case you haven't seen that. Which if you're not in Pro and you haven't watched an overview, I actually need to do a new overview of Pro. We do have a section here for Post an Opportunity. So into the community, when somebody has something they want to hire, you can go into Post Opportunity, and here we go. And this is just another huge benefit of being a member of Pro, because if you want to know, how do I get work and how do I get other clients? Well, sometimes you can white label, meaning you can work under other Web Designer Pros who have all of these needs. I mean, we're getting at least one a week on average opportunity. So it's kind of like a job board that you can get more work for. Graphic designer needed, meta ads, SEO Pro, Elementor freelance contract work, Google Admin Workspace stuff. I had a lead from Circle. I had a request for a Circle community build out, and I'm like, I'm not doing that personally. So I put it in here. Metaverse and media website. So Basically, the way this works, Samuel, is as members have an opportunity, want to either hire out under their agency, or sometimes they're just posting referrals in here. Like, hey, I've got an opportunity. I don't want to touch it like I did. It's like, I'm not taking a referral fee for this. If you want this, here's the contact, here's the specs. And then it goes right through here. I don't personally manage this, Samuel. I let members manage this. So, when Rob posted this SEO Pro, I haven't actually checked in to see if he needs any more help. Generally, the help gets there pretty quick. And if you're specialized in one thing, you can message a member in Pro if you're on the community or coaching tier, and you're good to go. And then if generally members do delete these. If they don't want them public, they'll either delete them or marked filled. Like this one is probably filled, probably filled. April put job filled. So you could do that if these are not active. Maybe I'll work on a tag that makes these active or deactive. But yeah, that's how that works. So let me know if that helps Samuel and anyone curious about how the basically like the job board in Pro works. All right, let me get to some other questions here. Great questions, guys. Good to see Lisa in the house. If you guys are Moxie users, Moxie CRM, Lisa is your go-to. She is your Moxie maven. Way to go, Lisa, on becoming a full-blown webpreneur. Alongside her hosting and maintenance plans, she is now getting into courses and community. Oh, awesome, Rebecca. Thank you for that. Rebecca's killing it. We had a great coaching session here recently, so thank you for mentioning that, Rebecca. It's an honor to serve you. To this point, I cannot wait to see what you do in 2025. I think there's going to be a before and after for Rebecca as a business owner, and it's 2025. The beginning of 2025, this is version 1 of Rebecca. End of 2025, version 2. She's scaling. She's clear. Rebecca's also managing WordPress and Squarespace and Shopify, so 3 different platforms. We had a hot seat on that recently, which is just like a mini coaching call. So, yes, go Rebecca. Mark, who are you working on for podcast guests for the rest of the year? Yeah, I'm actually, kind of, generally what I try to do is bulk a couple months out. And I've done a lot of the interviews to where I'm out about 6 weeks right now. So probably by mid-March, I'll really need to start kind of like how you guys think about filling your project pipeline and your client pipeline. I have to think about the podcast pipeline. There's usually always a network of people between colleagues of mine who I could ping and be like, hey, you want to have a chat about this, or some sort of coaching call, or Web Designer Pro members like Rebecca. Once we just figure out some of the things she's doing and she gets some big time results, since, Pro is a big time investment, worthwhile investment for her. That could be a case study. So that could be a podcast episode. I tend to go about that pretty naturally. But as far as guests, I'm intentionally reaching out on. The big one is coming up next week. For those who weren't here right from the get-go, Chris Doe is on the podcast next week. I had been trying to lock him in for the show for over a year. So not like I was hitting him up every week, but I had just made multiple attempts to try to get in touch with his team to get him on. And I'm not a fisher, but I got him. Chris Doe next week on the podcast, and it is an awesome one. Tomorrow, we'll be sending a little teaser, a little preview of the interview. So follow me on Instagram or Facebook to see that, or shorts. It'll be on YouTube Shorts as well. I do need to reach back out to Amy Porterfield though. Great reminder on this, because I got approval that she's going to come back on last year, but I think her team got busy, or maybe one of her team members who I was talking to isn't there anymore. I don't know, but they basically said like, yeah, she's good to come back on the show. Then I haven't heard anything. So need to reach back out on that. I'd love to get Amy back on. And then I think I'm going to be doing a little bit of vision casting for like, who are the next round of guests? I've tried to get Seth Godin on multiple times to no avail. He's, huge author, top end entrepreneur. So that's going to be tough, but I could continue to pursue that. But there's some other folks. I tried to get James Clear on, author of Atomic Habits, but he is not doing, he very rarely does interviews. I know he lives in Columbus, Ohio, so I could track him down, but I don't think I would not do that. I'm only moderately creepy. Alexia, pros have taken over the chat. Awesome, Sharon. I'm glad. Hopefully that helps with the YouTube stuff. I know we just scratched the surface, but All right, let me get to some other clients on our last 15 minutes here. Lisa, missed the YouTube course recommendation. Yeah, that was Pat Flynn's course. And I did post the affiliate link for that if you guys would like to. You can just go to my recommended tools. And in the tools, I have the Smart Passive Income courses, which is where I'd recommend that YouTube course. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still getting over a cold from last week. Now, my family has a cold, so it's that time of year. So apologies for the cough, so I'll try to mute them. Following your maintenance plan course. All right, Justin, you have a link to a demo sales page that has a dead link to the hourly rate page. Oh. Do you still have a demo hourly rate page? I do. Let's see. Let's do this live, shall we? Let's see if we can figure this out live or if this will be public ridicule. So here is, I'll tell you what, I'll share this with you guys since you're live. Even if you're not in Web Designer Pro, you're not my maintenance plan course yet, you can look at my demo maintenance plan page. This is literally the structure of the page that I modeled my maintenance plan after. So your care plan, your support plan, what's included, the hour a month, and then, that's the link right there. So this is the link right here, Justin. Thanks for pointing that out. I didn't realize that was broken. Hey, I'm all right being corrected live as long as we can get it. So here is my OG hourly rate page, which those of you who have been through my business course and maintenance plan course, you've heard me talk about this. The reason you should have an hourly rate page is because you do not want to have a bunch of templates or email templates or your contract or your terms and conditions that have different hourly rates everywhere. If you have an hourly rate page and you just link hourly rate, anywhere you mention your hourly rate, it can always be updated right here. So let's say you move from 95 an hour to 125 an hour like I did, then you do it on your hourly rate page, and then you don't have to touch your contract. You don't have to touch your terms and conditions. You don't have to touch any email templates or sales sequences that you have in place. Boom. So you're welcome. That tip right there is worth hanging around here for 50 minutes if this call has not been worth it for you. But have an hourly rate page. That's what gets linked everywhere else. And just like I had forgot to link that here, that was the problem. I'll tell you what, I'll fix it. I'm not going to do that live just for the sake of time. So I'm going to keep this up, Justin, and I will correct this link ASAP after this. All right, guys, let's get on some final questions here. If you guys do have a question that I've missed, just drop it in the chat now. Just because there's again, Web Designer Pros are freaking awesome, and they are going to be active in the chat, so I'm losing some questions. But I want you guys to be active. Awesome, Sam. Glad that helps. Brian has 4 SEO courses to finish. Brian, finish mine and see what you need from there. Because mine is more of a foundational SEO course, but then you can go to Sam's. And then I think the buck is going to stop with me and Sam's SEO resources with Local SEO Academy and Web Designer Pro. So if you need any more after that, I would do Pathfinder SEO to learn from Lauren on, no. Oh my gosh, Lindsay. Almost forgot her name. Lindsay with Pathfinder, how to sell advanced SEO. Bad at buying courses, not finding the time to go through them. Well, the big thing, Austin, number 1, you're not alone. Number 2, you don't find the time. That's right. Make the time. You got to make it a project. There's got to be a deadline. It's got to be in the calendar. It's got to be Thursday at 1 after Josh's awesome live stream. I'm doing the course for an hour, and I'm going to bust through maybe one module in 1 hour. Phones off, notifications off, emails off. So everything's off. You go through it. You go to Crimson Cup or any one of our local coffee shops, Austin, since you're local, and then we rock and roll. Maybe our next pro meetup, Austin, we'll meet up, we'll get coffee, and you'll watch a course, and we'll do some coursework together because I'm actually sitting on a couple as well. All right. Excited about the idea of productizing, says Rebecca. So, yep, next month, The special training, the guest training of Web Designer Pro will be all about how Whitney has productized her business. Man, the chat is lit, guys. Way to go. Thanks for hopping on, Alexia. I think I probably missed you, but good seeing you. All right. Any final questions, guys? Just to give us time to answer some final questions. You know what YouTube needs? YouTube needs what Circle has, which is a Q&A box. We really, because I wonder if I'm surprised they haven't added that yet. Because it would be awesome to have the questions separated from the full chat. Hey, Krista, I'm not a pro member yet. Love that. But I love your content. Quite possibly just a matter of time before I am. Awesome, Krista. Well, yeah, I mean, the best place to start when you're ready is if you want the courses, to join the courses tier. It's only $49 a month right now, and that gives you access to all the courses. And you'll get access to the audio podcast feed for Pro and the audio courses as well. So it's something I would highly, highly recommend, because you can get courses. This is my business course. You can get it on the go. I tell you what, though, one thing you can start with here, Krista, I don't know if you've gone through this, but it depends on where you are in your business. I do have a free training to help you start your business. So everyone can pick this up if you guys would like. It's a totally free training. This is a 10-step action plan that you see right here. I put this in the chat. It's actually just joshhall.co/start. And it's an action plan. This is going to guide you through some of the website tools I would recommend, or just to help you with what works for you. What aspects of web design you need to know. We'll talk a little bit about the main services I recommend starting with. Pricing, how to build a portfolio even if you don't have paid clients, and then how to get some clients. Some basic tips on getting your first few clients. So this training is completely free. So Krista, I would start with that. And there may or may not be, when you go through that, a little something to help you as you get going in Pro. So there's a little something in there, a little offer to help get you into Pro when you're ready. But I would start with that free training and then jump on into the courses, and then you can work your way up to the community when you're ready. And gosh, we're going to have some fun. Austin, when you moved away from your agency, did you think of making up a backup of your pages, or did someone else recommend that for you? Because that was genius. Yes, I did. That was a big one. Austin. As soon as Eric took over the agency, I knew that he had a bit of a different vision on where to take it. He was pretty full blown on doing much more marketing and growth style services. And as you guys know, my agency in Transit Studios was built primarily on larger one-time projects and our maintenance plan, and then SEO for our growth plans. So I really didn't have any interest in doing marketing. And because at that time I was doing pretty much 50-50, 50% work on In Transit and then 50% work on joshhall.co and getting into courses, I just did not want to do anything else as far as adding to that business. So yeah, I knew he was going to take it a different direction. So yeah, first thing I did was made a Josh version, just to say, like, this is In Transit now. This is In Transit as I built it up to $250,000 at like a solopreneur level. So if you guys are curious, you can check that out. Actually, let me take you over there real quick. We'll look at this live. I'm going to keep that demo page up as Justin highlighted to make sure I update that link after this. But you can go to intransitstudios.com. This will be in the chat. This is the current version. Again, I am the founder of this agency, but I did sell it in 2020. I'm kind of a consultant for them now. So Eric and I actually just talked, kind of got a feel for how 24 ended and gave him some strategies on what's also working for other Web Designer Pro members that Eric's going to implement here with what we're doing with In Transit. So I'm kind of a consultant for In Transit, but he's doing a lot of marketing. He's really big on reviews, marketing, and then website design services, maintenance plan and design services. But his actual bigger push is for marketing and for reviews. So that's the current version. And then you can go to my version of In Transit Studios, which is here. This is literally the site. This is the structure. Like, this is the actual site that I built up to $250,000 a year with doing web design, is this. Nothing super fancy, no uber clever headlines or anything. It's always just straight up. We build amazing websites. They're crafted with care, SEO optimize, build conversion for conversion. Get started. Boom. Let's rock and roll. Feature web designs. Still using this image. I need to get some new images done eventually, but I'm just, I've got 3 kids under 6. We have a lot going on with my daughter with special needs. So I'm like, I kind of have like this tired look I got to shake before I get new photos. But hey, that's what AI is for. No, I'm not going to AI it. I will say real quick, if I can give you guys one bit of advice, if you're going to look at my site and if you want to rip anything off, first off, you have my permission, especially those of you who are Web Designer Pro members, you have access to this. Do this right here. Clients love this. Clients loved this graphic back in the day. I hear from Web Designer Pro members all the time that this is like the number one thing that helps them stand out from everybody else. It is you're not a freelancer. You're not a big agency. You're right in the middle. Even if you technically are a freelancer right now, when you join Web Designer Pro, you're in the middle because you have a team of support people colleagues in Web Designer Pro. So if you don't do SEO, as you saw a little bit ago, we have our post and opportunity thread. You can literally go in there and you can say, I have a network of web designer support and things like SEO, ads, advanced development, Shopify, whatever. You're handled. We're right in the middle. So definitely do that one. All right, guys, let me answer some final questions. Michelle says, the hourly rate is a hidden page. The business course has a list of good hidden pages to have. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite lessons. Justin thank you, Justin. Says you won't regret it, Krista. Krista, if you have any questions, you can also email me. Go to joshhall.co/contact. Any questions or reservations, let me know, and I'll do that. Can we get a bonus episode with Emily to see what it's like being married to you and her experiences at being the wife of such a handsome entrepreneur? Thank you, Mark. So we've been talking about this for like 2 years. I just screenshotted that because I want to share this to her. I've asked her like numerous times. She's open to it. You know what the biggest problem is? It's us getting time together to record this. So we have 3 kids in the house, all under 6. I can hear them right now. It's kind of wild sauce downstairs right now. So the option would be we get a babysitter, but if we get a babysitter or if we're getting family help, we probably want to go on a date. Like we want to get out of the house, we want to go to dinner, have some drinks, have some fun, do something. So like sitting and talking about that is like the last thing we want to do with childcare because it's so infrequent that we get to just get out of the house. So the only other time to do it currently is nighttime when they're all down. And then you know how it goes, Mark. You have a lot of kiddos. You get all the kids down after a long day and it's like 9 and you're like, oh. So we would have to make it happen in that segment probably. So I will make that a priority because I know it's been highly requested and I think it would be fun. So I'll let her know that that's requested again. And second vote for that. Yeah, Justin had some questions on that. So I will let Emily know and we'll try to make that work. All right, guys, let me address these last few questions. Final call for questions. If there's something that's on your mind, drop it in the chat now and I will get to it before we head out here. We'll go a few minutes after the hour today. With web design often being a lifestyle business, what lifestyle tips can you share outside of your business that will aid in our business? Diet, sleep, exercise, social life, family, etc. Yep. All of that, Justin. I think it's seasonal. There's just like sometimes you'll be able to work out more. I mean, I'm actually, Justin, I forget if you joined in on our challenge, but we kicked off this year in Pro with a community challenge for a 30-day movement challenge. That really helped me just get used to like doing push-ups and doing stretches more because I kind of got out of the routine like that. I'm doing some workouts more in the basement, like huge. So I would actually start with exercise because I think everything else can be dictated off of exercise. You exercise, and exercise doesn't mean you need to train for the Arnold. It just means that you're getting up, you're doing something more frequently, and most importantly, intentionally. So anything with exercise, even if it's just light stretching, even if it's just a walk a few times a week, if you start there, you're going to get better sleep. You start there, that usually makes you just want to feel better. So you're like, maybe I'll have 4 pieces of pizza instead of 7. God, pizza's so good. We haven't pizza in a while. So Stuff like that will help. And then absolutely things like social life, family. I mean, as much as you can balance that, it's huge. The big thing is turning it off. It goes back to the quote, wherever you are, be there. As we all know, it's really easy to be in a family gathering and, you're just talking with somebody, but you're totally thinking about the web design project you're on right now. I would love to say that just magically leaves, but it doesn't. If you're a web designer, you're a business owner, and you're an entrepreneur all in one. Whether you realize it or not, you're an entrepreneur. So I would just get used to thinking about your business all the time, but you do need to be intentional about turning it off and, stepping into a new mental bucket, a new mental box, if you would. So hope that helps, Justin. The big thing is that quote, wherever you are, be there, especially when it comes to kids and family and things like that. Jeremy has, thank you. Thank you, Jeremy, for mentioning that. Yes, that is a huge help. Appreciate it, Jeremy. If you can use the question before that, you can see all the questions. Yeah, so Jeremy, I don't think you've been, because you're in the community level right now in Pro, the live calls in Pro, the coaching calls we do weekly for the community or the coaching tier, they now have a Q&A box. So I'll have to show you that sometime here because it's awesome. And I do plan to do some more Pro-only Q&As that are like this, that are just AMA. So look out for that, Jeremy, for everyone in the community level. All right. Just joined BNI because of you. Awesome. I really need to get an affiliate link for them. What was the best way you found building referrals for web in your BNI experience? So big thing to remember is that the networking group I was a part of was actually called AmSpirit. It was almost like a knockoff version of BNI though. It's very similar. It's only in Columbus to my knowledge. Austin's here. Austin's in it and getting a lot of leads from AmSpirit. So just when I say AmSpirit, just know it's basically BNI. It's the exact same setup. The big thing for you that I would focus on is referral partners. Referral partners are the key. That's when I say that my networking group was over 50% of my revenue, it was largely because of the referral partners I built in that network. Now, when you join a BNI group, you'll get clients from your group directly often, but the big thing to remember is it's about who they know and who they're connected with. Because maybe your group is 8 people, but those 8 people have hundreds of contacts. So immediately with 8 people, your network is expanded to maybe 500 or 600 people. And when when one of your BNI members has a client that says their website sucks and they need a web designer, they're like, oh, you got to talk to Josh. He's in my networking group. He's awesome. That's how it works. The other big key is the referral partners. So typically BNI is going to be set up where there's one person per category. So one web designer, one marketer, maybe one real estate agent, sometimes two, one chiropractor, etc. But if you can get an SEO person in there, if you can get a digital marketing person, get an ads person, business coaches. That was a huge one for me. There was a business coach who was a huge referral source for me because I was their web designer. And guess who they work with? Businesses. Guess what most of their clients need help with? Website stuff. So huge referral partner for me. So that's the mindset I would have. Don't go in there to a group of 20 people. And I'm not saying you're doing this, but it's easy to do because I've seen some people go to a BNI group and they're like, well, I've been there for 3 weeks and I haven't got a lead. I'm like, well, number one, give it a little bit of time. Number two, how are you going about it? Are you like, all right, I've got to get work from these 7 people. That's not the right mentality. It's, I'm going to help these 7 people with free advice, with ideas. If they become a paying client, awesome. But it's about who they know. I want to be the referral source for them because it looks awesome for them to be a trusted referral source. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. My gosh. I need to look back through this chat. You guys are testimonial machines today. Thank you. You're going to make me turn all red here. Do you recommend having your pricing visible on your site everywhere? Last call for questions, guys. Last couple questions before we wrap this up. It depends. If you have a very, very productized offer and you just want people to be smoked out and weeded out by just seeing the price, then that's fine, having the price up front. However, it does not give you a chance to nurture them or sell to them. If my approach was to have a hidden client page, I share this in the business course, where you have ranges, and once somebody goes through your contact form, if they look like a good fit, then they go to your potential client page that has the ranges, and then they're already pre-qualified. And then if they see that you start at 2,500 or 5,000 and they're like, okay, cool, awesome. But if they're like, ooh, I was thinking like 300, then no, we don't. And that's why you want to have a pre-screen, which I walk you through in my business course. So jump in Web Designer Pro, the courses tier. You can get access to my business course, all my courses. Go through that, and I'll walk you through why I recommend that, because you want to pre-screen them. You don't want to get on a discovery call and talk for an hour, or God forbid, go meet up with somebody that's an hour away, like I did sometimes, and then be like, oh my gosh, I just blew half a day to find out that they're not going to spend more than $500. So you want to avoid that at all costs. The way to do that is contact form, pre-qualified, split between how you're going to funnel them, or yes, your prices can be upfront. They both work. It just kind of depends on where you're at in your journey. I've actually found that it's best to start with my approach, because you get a feel for your clients. You get a feel once they're pre-qualified to talk to them, and they may think they need a $2,000 website, but after a call with you, actually they need a $5,000 website. And if they get a chance to talk with you, you can kind of nurture them and encourage them to do that, persuade them on that in some way. Once you get to a certain point though, there's no shame in just saying, here's our web design packages. Start at 5K, medium is 10K, and then we do 15 to 20K for advanced e-commerce projects, etc. So let me know if that helps. All right, guys, final questions here. Give the people what they want. Awesome, Krista. Solid developer, but feeling a little dejected today. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad this gives you a way worth popping on with us today. So, Krista, keep the hope alive. Solid developers are so needed, even in the age of AI. Keep at it. Keep at it. Hope to see you in pro when you're ready, and we can help you get out of the dejected feeling once and for all. Yeah, exactly, Mark. When we go down, we crash. That's right. That's like, we've talked about it, but we're like, sometimes it's like 10 when everyone falls asleep, and then we're like, the dishes are piled up and we got we got like stuff to do. So sit down with Emily at ProCon. Well, she's coming to the socials, Austin, not the actual day event. We're going to have childcare. We're plan is to have childcare for both nights. So she will not be at the actual event during the day, but that would be awesome. That would be fun. Do you ever use Divi website templates when working on your clients? If you were, would you let that affect your pricing versus designing a custom site? I always had starting templates. I didn't have a templated productized approach. If I were starting an agency today using Divi, what I would do is for like lower end sites, I would not call it like template, but I would say I would have like a basic package for clients. And yes, I would use like more templatized approach like we saw with Whitney's site. However, and yes, that would be different from custom only in the way of a productized offer is like, we control everything. Client, you give us the certain amount of images, certain amount of text. We don't customize this. There's a few add-ons we could do, but it's not a custom site. Custom site starts at a certain point, and yes, the pricing is different because one is a productized service that basically says this is what you get, and it's sold like a product. One is a personalized service, like we have a product that is customized to what you need. So yeah, very different. Very, very different price points there. I would probably keep the productized stuff in between the in and around 5,000 and under range. I would probably keep the custom stuff 10,000 plus. You can have a happy medium, but there's a lot of web designer pros are doing good with two tiers. A tier that's like 25 to 5,000 and a tier that's like 5 to 15, depending on what that is. Take us all on your date when you're out. That could be pretty fun. I really love to look into what and how we can leverage AI in our productizing other than ChatGPT to automate and create content. I would steer clear from AI for content, more so now than ever. I would rather do less content, but really good, personalized, human, like make it should be strunk. You got to strunk that content. It's got to be you. I couldn't be more opposed to AI for content. And this isn't just to you, Rebecca. This is just in general, like you guys know when there's an AI post, I can't stand them. we want to hear what real people think about stuff. So I would have that approach with content. The only way I use ChatGPT and any AI right now is for idea generation. And sometimes I'll be like, I've thought of like 3 good tips for this point, but what are some of the things I'm not thinking about? And then it's like additional points. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I forgot about that. Or it's like memory jargon, but I'm not using it to like write me, 10 ways that are good practices for websites. That could be a good idea generator, but make it your own. So in short, start with it, fill in gaps, but make it your own for sure. All right, guys. Awesome. Great questions today. All right, Sun Valley. I'm really excited to see you in Web Designer Pro for the courses. Awesome. Jen's got a great system for personalizing the content and using AI. All right, it's Jen against Joss. Here we go. In the ring. Jen's all about the AI. I'm not as much. That's why I hired Jen for the podcast stuff. But Jen, if we can AI some of that podcast process, you let me know. Awesome, guys. All right. Final question here. Final question to Philip. Dream 100. What are your thoughts on generating leads to Dream 100? I don't know. I don't know what Dream 100 is, so I'd have to find out about that. So, yeah, I don't know. Probably like the worst question to end off for me because it's I don't know. I don't know what Dream 100 is. I don't really follow Russell Brunson or Chet Holmes. Chet just sounds like a douchey baseball player, and God bless Russell. I read it. He's got some really good books, great resources, but sometimes he just, I don't know. It's just so salesy. He's like too in my face. I'm just a down home, chill Midwestern guy, and some of the funnel, the click funnel marketing, it's just not my thing. I just don't jive with it. It kind of dissuades me. Like I've never saw a click funnels thing and been like, ooh, I gotta have it. Oh my gosh, you stacked the value. Oh, I must have it. No, I'm like, yeah, too sales, just too much. So anywho, sorry, I don't have a better option, Philip, but if the Dream 100 is about 100 ways to get clients or build your business, networking is huge. I will say I am working on a post right now. The teaser is in Web Designer Pro, 50 ways to get web design clients. So pro members, go and just search 50 ways to get clients. You'll see the list. I'm building that out now. So that's what I'm working on. So I think that's a great way to move forward here. All right, guys, thank you for joining. Again, link below to join Web Designer Pro. You can even just start with the courses tier to get access to the courses. Remember, now audio courses are live. So we have 3 courses in audio version, my business course, maintenance plan, and scaling course. They're the most listenable courses. So you'll get links to those when you join. You'll also get the Private Pro podcast feed, which is the replay of all of our weekly coaching calls, even just as a course tier member. So jump on in, guys. Try it out. And what else is there? Next week on my podcast, Chris Doe is our special guest. So get ready for that one. Little teaser coming out tomorrow on that. So we're going to have some fun. All right, everybody. And again, thank you everyone for your thoughts and prayers and well wishes for my daughter, Bria, after her surgery this weekend. All went really well. Things are going good. We're adjusting to our new life as G2 parents. So really appreciate you. Great session. Thanks for joining live. Replay will be up and I'll see you hopefully over in Web Designer Pro if you're ready to go. All right. It's rhyming time. So time to call it. Cheers, guys.